Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make these polymer clay ponies. This is my most requested tutorial, and these ponies are for sale now in my Etsy shop. For this project, you'll need some oven-baked clay. I use Sculpey. You can use any kind of oven-baked clay. Just make sure it says oven bake, and the baking instructions will be on the package. You're also going to need some kind of tool to attach the hair and to make the little marks for the nose. You can use a store-bought tool like this or a toothpick, something like that. For the eyes, you'll need some black clay, or you can use acrylic paint, which is what I'll be using. And if you're wanting to make it into a charm, you'll also need an eye pin. So let's get started. For the clay, you'll need whatever color you choose. 2 large pieces of clay. One is going to be for the body. One, maybe just a little smaller, is going to be for the head. You'll need 4 almost equal size pieces of clay for the legs. 2 small pieces for the ears. And you'll need some clay, whatever color you decide, for the hair. The first thing you'll want to do is take the piece of clay that you'll want to use for the body and roll it into a ball. And then you want to flatten one side into a cone shape. And keeping the bottom larger, making sure that it can sit upright. So it should look like that. Still rounded, but able to sit upright. You want to do the same thing for the head. Roll one side of it to make it into sort of a cone shape, but keeping it rounded. You want to make sure that the nose doesn't come to too much of a point. It should still be rounded as well. For the legs, you want to roll them out until they're all about the same length. I don't usually measure them. You can kind of eyeball it. You want to make sure that the proportion looks good compared to the body. Make sure that they're not too large or too small. Now that your legs are all rolled out to the size that you want, it's time to make the ears. This is fairly simple. You just take 2 small balls of clay and flatten them out into discs. Make sure again that the size is a good match for the head. Make sure that they're not too big or not too small. And you want to just take the very bottom of the circle and pinch it together. And do the same with the other one. Take the bottom and pinch it together, and these will be your ears. Now we're ready to put the horse together. I'm going to be first attaching the front legs. If they're too tall, mine are just a little too tall for the body, you can go ahead and trim them off to the length that you want with a blade. And then roll the top again so it's a little rounded. And attach those to the body. Mine are going to be in the very front, so it'll look like the horse is sitting down. Next will be the back legs. These are going to wrap around to the front. And to attach the head, I like to use a piece of wire. I forgot to mention this earlier. This was a head pin. I just cut the tip of it off, and it makes a small piece of wire. This will make it more secure when you're attaching a big piece of clay to another. Just push it down like that, and then attach the head right on top of it. So that's the basic shape so far. You could have his legs pointed outward like this if you like. It doesn't really matter. If you do that, you might want to use the wire to attach the legs also, so that they don't break off later. Next, you want to attach the ears. You can use your tool for this, just to make sure in the back that they're secure. So there's the ears. At this point, I like to draw the eyes so that when I'm putting the hair on, I won't have to worry about where I put the hair. I can just put it over top of the eye if I want. I won't have to worry about drawing that in later. So I'm just using acrylic paint. This is just the lid, and I use a head pin and just dip it in a little bit of black paint. You could also use clay for this too. Just make little balls of clay and put them on there. Then you just stamp it like that. I find that this is the easiest way to make eyes, for me anyway. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and make his nose also. That's really simple. You just take any kind of little rounded tool, a toothpick, you could also use a head pin if you wanted, and I just stamp little circles for his nose. And next is the most complicated part. It's going to be the hair. So choose any kind of color that you want. You could use rainbow colors. It doesn't matter. For this horse, I'm going to be using blue. And what you want to do is just roll your clay into a long strand. That's the easiest way. You can roll on the table. I have an extruder, but I'm not going to be using it for this project. I kind of wanted just to show you how to do it if you don't have anything like that. You want to make it into a long, skinny, kind of worm-like shape. Now that you have your clay rolled out into a long strand, you want to take a blade or just any kind of tool to cut with and cut the desired length of your strands. I like to do in front of the face first. These pieces of hair that cover his eyes, I find it easier to do those first. So I'm just going to kind of measure like how long I want it to go down in the front and just start cutting pieces off. Okay, and to attach these, you could just push it down with your finger. I like to use the tool to make sure that they don't fall off while they're baking. Just use the tool and just press them down. And just keep picking up strands and pressing them into place. I like to kind of skip a little bit over his eye. I think that looks cute. Okay, so that's what his little bangs look like. Next, you want to just keep cutting longer strands of hair that will cover his back. As you can see, I cut a lot of strands, different lengths for his hair. You can have them any size you want. If you want thicker strands, you can curl them, you can, make a braid, whatever you want to do. It's completely up to you. I'm just going to start with a few longer strands and attach it at the top where the bangs started. Starting at where the bangs leave off kind of gives it a neater look also. And then the remaining pieces you can just put wherever you want. I like to just kind of fill in any gaps that I see. I think he needs a longer piece over here. I'm going to roll this one out a little more. Sort of pinching them at the corners also gives the strands a neater appearance after you cut them. Okay. I think that's going to be it for his hair. Once you have cut off several pieces for the tail, the length that you want, you can go ahead and assemble the tail. You can either do the same thing that you did with the hair and just put them on a piece at a time, but I find it easier to assemble the tail first and then attach the whole thing. So I'm just going to take several strands and just kind of put them together, pinching them at the top into a point. Okay, that should be okay for the tail. And this you can go ahead and use your tool and apply the tail where the two legs meet in the back. Make sure that it's secure so that it doesn't break off after you bake it. And I also like to kind of push it up against the legs so that it's not as fragile. And this is what it should look like when it's finished. You can add more strands if you want to, if you see any gaps that you want to fill. If you're wanting to make this into a charm, which I'm not going to because as you can see, compared to my other ones, it's a lot bigger. So if you wanted to make it into a charm, you would just take your eye pin and then just insert it into the top or into the back, however you would want it to hang. And then that's completely safe to bake in the oven. So it's ready to bake and then glaze. I hope you enjoy this tutorial and please request more. Subscribe, rate, comment. Thank you for watching.